Love, as we know it, is often reduced to romantic notions and fleeting feelings. Our understanding of love is shaped by the stories we hear, the movies we watch, and the relationships we observe. But as Alan Watts points out, these ideas only scratch the surface. We are constantly bombarded with images of love that involve dramatic gestures, passionate declarations, and the idea that love is something we either win or lose. We've been trained to see love as something external, something that must be found in another person, rather than something that exists within us, around us, at all times. But Watts argues that this common understanding is a distortion. The truth is far deeper, far more beautiful, and yet paradoxically simpler. Love is not something that can be owned, controlled, or even fully understood in the conventional sense. Love, in its truest form, is a force of nature. It is the very essence of life, the invisible thread that binds us to every other living thing and to the universe itself. When we cling to the idea that love is something to be earned or found, we create suffering for ourselves. We begin to believe that without it, we are incomplete, that something is missing from our lives. But what if nothing is missing? What if love is not something that we need to search for at all? Watts tells us that love, at its core, is not a feeling. It's not the butterflies in your stomach when you're around someone you're attracted to. It's not the emotional highs and lows that come with romantic relationships. Real love is something far more profound. It is the very state of existence. We are made of love and we are immersed in it, whether we recognize it or not. The challenge, then, is not to seek love outside of ourselves, but to recognize the love that is already within us and all around us. This shift in perspective can be life-changing. When you stop seeing love as something you need to get from others and start recognizing it as an inherent part of your being, everything changes. Imagine walking through life knowing that love is already within you. There is no need to seek it, no need to chase it, because it is already yours. The pressure to find the one or to be loved by others fades away. You are no longer dependent on external validation or approval because you know that love is not something that can be given or taken away. It simply is. This doesn't mean that relationships aren't important or that romantic love doesn't matter. Of course it does. But it changes the way we approach those relationships. Instead of seeing them as a source of fulfillment, we begin to see them as an expression of the love that already exists within us. When you understand that love is a natural state, a fundamental aspect of who you are, you become free. You are free to love without fear, without expectation, without attachment. You no longer need to control or manipulate others to get love because you know that love is not something that can be controlled. It flows freely, like a river, and it touches everyone and everything in its path. Watts also believed that love is not just limited to our relationships with other people. Love is everywhere. It's in the way we interact with the world, in the way we connect with nature, in the way we experience art and beauty. Think about the last time you were truly moved by a piece of music or a breathtaking sunset. Those moments when you feel a deep sense of connection to something greater than yourself are moments of love. They remind us that love is not confined to human relationships. It is the pulse of the universe, the rhythm of life itself. This understanding of love as a universal force can also help us cultivate compassion and kindness. When you realize that love is not something that is in limited supply, you stop feeling the need to guard it so closely. You stop fearing that you might lose it. Instead, you become more open, more generous, more willing to share love with others, because you know that in doing so, you are not depleting yourself. In fact, the more you give, the more you receive. Love is infinite. And when you tap into that infinite source, you realize that there is more than enough to go around. One of the most liberating aspects of Watts' philosophy on love is the idea that love is not transactional. We live in a world where we are taught that love must be earned, that we have to prove ourselves worthy of love by being attractive, successful, or interesting. But this is a false narrative. Love, in its purest form, has no conditions. It does not ask for anything in return. It simply is. When we remove the idea that love is something we must work for, we free ourselves from the constant pressure to be perfect, to be lovable. We can relax into the truth that we are already enough just as we are. This kind of unconditional love is rare in our world because we are so used to the idea of love being conditional. But Watts encourages us to practice this kind of love, both towards ourselves and towards others. To love without expectation, without the need for validation, without the desire to possess or control. This doesn't mean allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of or tolerating harmful behavior. Instead, it means recognizing that true love is about allowing others to be themselves, just as we allow ourselves to be who we truly are. When you love yourself in this way, you begin to understand that you are worthy of love simply because you exist. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to achieve anything. You don't need to look a certain way or act a certain way to be deserving of love. This realization can be incredibly freeing. It allows you to stop seeking love outside of yourself and to start recognizing the love that has always been there, within you. Watts also talks about the importance of being present in love. So often we are caught up in our heads, thinking about the past or worrying about the future, but love can only truly exist in the present moment. When you are fully present with someone, whether it's a partner, a friend, or even yourself, you are able to connect with them on a deeper level. You're not thinking about what they might do tomorrow or what they did yesterday. You're simply there with them, in the moment, experiencing love as it is. This idea of being present in love extends beyond our relationships with others. It's also about being present with ourselves. How often do we rush through life without taking a moment to truly be present with ourselves? We are so busy trying to achieve, trying to impress, trying to prove ourselves that we forget to simply be. But Watts reminds us that love begins with self-acceptance. It begins with being fully present with ourselves, embracing who we are in this moment, without judgment or criticism. When you can do this, when you can love yourself fully, you become free to love others in the same way. To truly experience love, we must let go of the idea that it is something we can control or possess. We must let go of the belief that love is scarce or that it must be earned. Love is abundant, and it is available to all of us in every moment. When we stop trying to grasp at it, we open ourselves up to the true depth and beauty of love. If Alan Watts' insights on love resonate with you, take a moment to reflect on how this understanding could change your life. How would your relationships change if you stopped seeking love outside of yourself and started recognizing the love that is already within you? How would your relationship with yourself change if you fully embraced the idea that you are already enough, just as you are? These are questions worth pondering, as they may hold the key to a deeper, more fulfilling experience of love.